Hey everyone! So today I'm going to be reviewing Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. This book really meant a lot to me. I was really able to relate to the main character, Charlie. Basically, this book is written as a sequence of letters from Charlie to this friend. I thought this writing style was really brilliant. It really allowed you to feel very connected to Charlie and like he was sharing his secrets and feelings with you personally and that he personally trusted you. So this book follows Charlie's first year of high school, and he's very nervous going in. He doesn't have any friends. His best friend from middle school committed suicide, so he has some issues with that, and he's also very guilty about his aunt's death, and there's some other things going on in his life that you'll find out later if you read this. A big part of the book is his relationship with these step-siblings, Patrick and Sam. He has this huge crush on Sam. Patrick is basically, he used to be a popular kid, but then he and Sam became friends from, their parents getting married, and she introduced him to cooler music, and now he's on the outside. So Charlie joins this friend group of Patrick and Sam. They're all seniors. He's the only freshman. Their friend group is kind of the outcasts, or the alternative group, and then Charlie's kind of the outcast of the outcasts. He's dubbed a wallflower, which is someone who just kind of sits back and watches everyone else's lives as they go by, but doesn't really interact with people as much by themselves. So he doesn't really participate in life as it's referred to, and he doesn't create his own life experiences. He enjoys life by watching other people enjoy themselves. Like his friend group, they all do the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And Charlie goes to every single show, but until one night when someone is sick, he doesn't ever participate in it. He doesn't ever ask if he can be part of it. I really related to Charlie's character because I was like that way a lot and still am a bit. I was that quiet kid in the back of the class no one really knew, barely knew my name. And especially my senior year of high school, I was just really checked out. I couldn't wait to leave school and go to college and be an adult. And I was just so over and done with all the high school drama. And I do regret that because I slowly kind of I stopped trying to reach out to people and be friends with people. I had a few friends, I didn't see them as often. One of my biggest regrets is not participating in my AP English class a lot. I just sat back and listened to everyone else's thoughts about the books we were reading. I never contributed, partially for fear, and also I just didn't consider my opinions important, and I just enjoyed watching other people's discussions. Having read this book and reflecting back on that, I think even though it scared me, and every time I had to speak in class, I was terrified and blushed, and people made fun of me for it, I think if I had been able to participate more, it would have been just better for me, and I think I could have gotten a lot more out of that class and learned more if I had really learned how to express myself and talk and have the literary discussions with people, which is a big reason for why I'm on BookTube now. I think that was the major theme of the novel, was that even though Charlie was really one of the nicest guys in the world, and he was always putting his friends first, he really didn't have his own life because he was so busy just trying to forget all the hurts in his past by throwing himself into other people's lives and watching them and not really creating his own life. And while that worked at some points for him, it was really just detrimental to his life in the long run. The times when his friends weren't there, like they were away on vacation or something, he went into drugs and he was just so alone in this depressive state. And I think this book was really good about how pointing out that that isn't really healthy, and you do need to lead your own life, and you can't just sit back and watch everyone else's lives go by and let your life go by. Throughout the book, a lot of the characters tried to get this message across to Charlie, some in better ways than others. Another big character in this book was Bill, his English teacher, who also attempted, like Sam, to help him participate in life and care about his life a little more. But he did it through giving Charlie books that were similar to his life, So for example, he had him watch Harold and Maude, and he read Catcher in the Rye. Catcher in the Rye has actually been compared to this book, and I think it's a pretty accurate comparison. Holden and Charlie are guilty and upset about the deaths of close family members. They're trying to ignore reality and get through it, and it's a coming of age sort of thing at the same time. I think the big differences are Holden is much more cynical about life, and he deals with reality by being cynical and using and going back to his childhood interests and places to forget about what's happened. He also is a pathological liar, and he uses that to escape who he is in his past and create a new identity, whereas Charlie escapes by putting himself in other people's lives and putting himself in their shoes and just living life through them, but not being his own person. Sam really confronts him at one point before she leaves for college, and I disagreed with a lot of the things she said. I don't disagree with the main message, but I disagree with how she put things. One of the things she said was that, so Charlie had this huge crush on her for the entire book, and he had told her about it, and she said, "Oh, Charlie, I'm too old for you, just don't think of me like that." And he was like, "Oh, okay," and he tried not to, and he still thought of her like that, but he didn't act on it or talk to her about it or anything. And then before she left for college, she was like, "Charlie, you still like me, you should have just acted on it. I know I said what I said, but you need to have your own motivations and desires." I think that he did need to focus more on what he wanted, not just what his friends wanted. But if someone tells you, "I'm not interested," then you should not pursue them. I think if you're truly friends with someone and you truly respect them, if they say, "No, I'm not interested," then you shouldn't just go for it like she says, like she tries to tell him. I don't think that was put very well. I don't think that's what the author meant at all, and I don't think that's what Sam was saying, but the way she put it, it was a little I also don't agree with her point that she said that Charlie can't put everyone else's lives before his, and that can't count as love. And I do not agree with that. That is not necessarily a healthy form of love, but it is a form of love. In order to love someone, you have to be a little self-sacrificing and selfless, and even really a lot if you're a parent or a really good friend of someone who needs a lot of that. I think that's very necessary. I think Charlie was doing it to an unhealthy extent, and they could have made that a little more clear in Sam's dialogue. Charlie clearly loved her, and he clearly loved his friends and family. There was such a pure love for them. That's what made him a great character, was that he was able to understand everyone's point of views. For example, at one point he talks about how his grandfather would hit his mom and her sister when they were kids to force them and scare them into getting good grades because he had to work in the mills all his life, and he didn't want that for them. He wanted them to get an education. He didn't feel resentful towards his grandfather, even though he realizes that a lot of his mom and sister's pain was because of him. But he's able to realize that what he did wasn't right, but his intentions were good, and he's able to have a relationship and care about his grandfather and understand his perspective. And I thought that was really amazing to have a character like that, and it made me really care and root for Charlie. I usually don't like first-person books, just because it's one character's point of view and one character's thoughts. A lot of the times you don't get a full view of the world and other characters because they're so in their own head, or they have a certain opinion about someone, but you don't know what that person is like to other people. Because Charlie is able to understand people so well, you did really get a full view of all these characters, and you really felt like you knew them, and not just for how they interacted with Charlie directly because he was so observational. But I think this book is really great because I feel like anyone can relate to a lot of aspects of the book. It deals with depression and not fitting in, and growing up and not being sure where you're going in life. And so because this is a very high school story, I think anyone can find their own high school experience within this book and their own struggles. So I think it's really a pretty important book, and that everyone would enjoy reading it. and I 100% recommend it to anybody. Alright, that's all for now, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!